So we hope you enjoyed that chat as much as we did with Harry. He really is a scholar and a gent of the barbecue world. I think you'll agree, won't you, Noel?
Oh mate, it was absolutely amazing, and just the comp tips in there alone, people are just going to love that. So yeah, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Always good talking to him.
I think I edited out maybe 10 comp trick tips that he gave, so that we're not letting everybody else know. So somebody else who's been storming onto the competition scene in the last 6 months or so, well, pre-COVID anyway, and is well known for his design skills. He helped us with our logos. He helped Noel with his logos. Runs a creative alliance. Cook Cartel barbecue team. We've brought him back. You saw him a couple of weeks ago, but we're giving him a proper go at the 10 burning questions. Stephen Cook from Cook Cartel. Welcome, Stephen.
Yeah, cheers, bro. Thank you.
Welcome, mate.
Thanks, man. How you guys going?
Yeah, good.
We're good. Steve is fair to say, a little bit of intrepidation at this. Not a fan of hot sauce in general.
Nah, not really, man. I'm more of a sweet and savoury rather than hot and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as ever, I think, Noel, you might have the bottle that you can actually show the camera. We are going to be enjoying one of New Zealand's finest hot sauces, the Firedragon chili Dragon's Fury.
Yeah, which is officially the hottest natural chili sauce in the world, actually given that accreditation. So
Really?
So yeah, I mean, look, just to be absolutely upfront, we gave Steve the option to take a slightly lesser one. Bit worried about him, but he said, no, we'll go big. We go big.
It's not how we operate, bro. As terrified as I am, we can't fuck around.
We can't. No, it's got to be the one.
Yeah.
So, look,
here we go, gents. Here it is on
boys.
our crackers, just to make sure you know we've got it. Cheers.
Cheers. Crackers there.
Cracker's a bit stale.
Crackers are a bit sharp. Just takes a moment, and you just get a few little pinpricks.
Quite sharp.
It will build.
So,
Oh, wow.
question one.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What's your favourite type of barbecue to cook on, and why?
Oh, I love my big... That's really warm. I love my big offset, eh? We run... got the Pro Qs and obviously Webers and that sort of thing as well as, but the big pig, my big wide girl is my preference, definitely.
So that's an offset, reverse flow.
Yeah, big reverse flow, all 6 mil. Yeah, it's massive. It's a pain in the ass to take to comps, but it's good.
Is it hitting? It's kind of hitting me. I'm getting the burn.
It's definitely hitting me. It's a good centerpiece for the tent, though, because it's just a beautiful pit.
We get heaps of people come through and want to talk about it. It's a bit of a showpiece as well as a really great pit to cook on. With it's just big and it's sort of rusty and it's all weathered and it just looks bloody cool,
Cool. So, early smoking equipment failures, right? So, what's your worst failure that you've had getting into low and slow?
What, as in barbecues themselves? Like equipment
as in
failures?
Cooking equipment, whatever you
Jesus.
think, really.
It's really warm, bro.
It's so hot.
Fucking hell. Getting a watery mouth.
But you know what? The beer activates it, so try and delay having the beer for a while.
Okay. Failures. I haven't really had any major issues, to be honest. Like I can't actually think of anything. Sorry, one big failure that I have had was the first time I tried. It was actually in the pit barrel, and after some decent technique and some stuff that Kovic had showed me, I cooked them for a bit. The colour was beautiful, and after we wrapped them, I accidentally pierced the foil. And so after an hour or so of that, they were black. They were stuck to the foil. Yeah. They were fucked.
Yeah.
I was really spewing about that. So we sort of tried to eat what we could, but most of it was in the bin, man. It was buggered.
And mate, there's a massive lesson in that. When you're wrapping stuff, you got to make sure there's no tears or anything like that.
I double check and triple check now, 100%. And if not, I'll add another layer.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's all bang on now. But I think I believe that's the best way to learn is by buggering something up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know why I agree to do this every week, but
how are you going with it?
It's fucking hot, bro. My tongue feels like it's swelling up. I don't like hot stuff, bro. That's hot.
It's pretty. It has a kick. It certainly has a kick. It has a lick of fire.
It's not as harsh as I thought it was. It's sharp. It feels like stabbingness in my tongue.
Yes, it's like a million needles, right?
Yeah, or in the sides.
You're getting a tongue tattoo.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man.
You like your tattoos, so a tongue tattoo was always on the cards. Fat side up or fat side down for brisket?
Sometimes I'll turn it actually. It really depends on what I'm cooking on. If I feel like I need to protect the meat, sometimes we'll run it fat side down, use that as a bit of a barrier just to look after everything. Yeah, watery mouth.
I haven't got COVID, but my nose is starting to run, I'll tell you that. I promise I'm not COVID positive. And, you're right, that beer has not helped. It has amplified it.
Oh, man.
Oh, next question.
Enjoy this.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Hang on a second. Right, so strangest thing you've ever eaten? Doesn't have to be barbecue, but just what's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
What have we had?
You do live out west, so this could go anywhere.
We
I'm not sure where it's going here.
We had a lot of travelling and stuff like that around Europe, and so things like frogs and ostrich, alpaca,
Nice.
kangaroo, all that sort of shit. And to be honest, I really, really enjoyed it. I really like it.
Yeah.
I'll try anything, before I'll shoo it. Aside from berries or anything like that in coleslaw. Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything about this.
a little dig at Noel there. And in fact, ostrich is one of my favourite things. And there is a very famous restaurant in London called Hakkasan. It's a Chinese restaurant, and I'm sure Noel's familiar with it.
Yeah.
One of their dishes is an ostrich in yellow bean stir fry, and it is to die for. Like seriously to die for. So. Get yourself some ostrich. Great lean meat as well. It's really good for you.
I'm going to throw this in. I wasn't going to say anything, but someone's actually going to send me an alpaca neck because I've been smoking lamb necks for so long, and they're massive. So I was like, I want to smoke one of those. About that long.
Yeah, that'll be
I feel like 3 lamb necks, so I'm going to smoke that up. So we'll see how that goes.
Far out.
Perfect. Best barbecue that's not yours that you've ever had?
To eat.
That's a little bit of a tough one, actually. I'll probably have to say Mike Kovic's from Notorious PIT, to be honest. We've had a couple of good barbecues at his place and drink heaps of piss and sit around and we just eat heaps of different stuff, man.
He does some great stuff, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, man.
He doesn't stay in the lane of traditional barbecue, does he?
Just recently we did some, there's some pulled beef cheek soft shell tacos.
Yeah.
And they were fucking outstanding, eh? Wow, that's hot, bro.
Did you have them with the Firedragons, Dragon's Fury as well, by any chance?
No, I'd step away from all that. I don't even run with jalapenos, man. I keep it nice and plain, eh?
Yeah, feel free if you need to take your hat off, do a mop of the brow.
I took my jacket off before.
So, moving on. So, who did you learn the most from?
I think we know the answer to this, don't we?
When I was starting, definitely from Kovic, man.
Yeah.
We're local, we live just up the road, and we get on like a house on fire. So there was tons of stuff. I had a little Oklahoma Joe's Highland, just a little crossflow, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Looked at a bunch of stuff online, and he came up one day, and we were just drinking and sort of changed some techniques and adjusted this, and as well as having lots of people around me, I'll pick anyone's brain, man. And one big thing with that is that there's more than 20 ways to skin a cat. Everyone does things differently, and you can get really different things under, like drastically different techniques, temperatures, and you can always get really, really good results, really different results. But yeah, I've just sort of found my own way through the middle of everyone else's input. Noel's included, man. Noel's helped me out with heaps of stuff. He told me a bunch of things. Some of them I'm thinking, nah, I'm not sure about that. But you got to give it a
Still
crack.
going on about the berries in the coleslaw, bro.
I'm thinking about the berries. 100%.
Jesus, let it go, bro.
Far out. There's some things you just don't do, man.
No, yeah, fair enough.
What's your favourite cut of meat to cook and eat, and why?
I'm a big fan of ribs, eh? Quite a big fan of ribs, man. I started on those. That was sort of my go-to, prior to getting into cooking decent barbecue, we'd go to the likes of Lone Star and order the ribs, like any sort of restaurant. If there was ribs on the menu, that's what I was eating. So I thought I'm just going to...
Even when they were boiled?
Absolutely.
You had no idea, did you?
No, that's right.
You thought they were great.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd say the same.
And there were all that sort of stuff. Like, oh, this is great. It falls off the bone and it's this and that. And I like that sweet sort of flavour that they have in the sauces and shit like that. But now now knowing what I know, it's changed the way I look at that food drastically. We don't eat there whatsoever. I struggle to eat any meat anywhere else now.
What would you have to absolutely have to go there though? Because my kids still like going there, and I actually do still end up having the ribs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the ribs. I think
get the chicken.
Yeah, I think that my missus gets like a Johnny Cash stash or something like that.
Is that the chicken one?
Yeah, chicken. It's got mushrooms and stuff, and that's all good. But again, even they butcher that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so mate, low and slow or hot and fast?
Oh, hot and fast tonight.
It's a big one. It's fucking my mouth is hot and fast. I'm still in the way of low and slow with the majority of our stuff. I've definitely upped the temperature with the likes of ribs, shoulders, anything else that can take the heat.
So 275 now?
Yeah, at least 275, bro.
Which is still really kind of low,
yeah,
right? I mean, it's not exactly hot.
I'd be 275 to 300.
It depends what your starting place was, right? So if you're in America, your starting point is 225. That's 50 degrees. So it's quite a lot.
But even a lot of those American...
All of us were cooking at 250.
You think a lot of those American comp teams who are using the gateways and they're cooking at 350, 400 now.
That's it, man,
in comps. And that's what hot and fast is to me. It's kind of 350... Or anything that can do a brisket in 5 hours is hot and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think, and that sort of goes back to like what you're saying with fat side down or this and that. If I've got a nice bit of a fat cap, I'll tend to leave it on to protect that meat, to pump up the cook time, blast through it, get a nice bark and crust, and then wrap it up. And by then you can really, really crank it. And especially if you're behind time at comp, for example. So I can't even think. My mouth's fucking on fire. So if you're at comp and if we're slightly behind time, I go, so let's wind it up. We'll chuck another log on the big one, and that offset will run really, really hot, man. The top left is the hottest part. You can't touch it. Yeah. It'll be like I put a digital probe in it as well, just to double check sort of where it's sitting, and the top left of it can run 450, 500. It's fucking crazy. Like it's awesome. Almost glowing.
Now, for anybody who's worried, we do have paramedics just off camera waiting in case Steve does fall over or have some kind of heart-related cardio incident. But now you're not allowed to talk about the man over there. And I think I know where you might go again. But who's the biggest legend in New Zealand barbecue?
Oh, there's a few way, man. There's actually some guys like behind the scenes that I think are absolute legends. The likes 100%. Of Sini. Mikey Led and Carl and shit like that, who are the guys that make things actually happen. J Mac from fucking Morbetta. You right?
I'm never all right. I'm never all right in this section. Chili? I'm never all right.
He wasn't coughing because of you, Jared. That was actually for the chili. Mate.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a bunch of good dudes, man, who have been really influential. That'll come and lend you a hand. Like some Melville and shit like that. Tracy, they were pitched up next to us at Brewtown, and they were a wealth of knowledge, man. They helped us out with heaps of shit. And being new in the scene, there was stuff that we forgot at Kumi, for example. So Ken from Barbecue Boy, he showed us a bunch of stuff. He helped us with some trimming. Again, with COVID and that, the guys will just lean in and help out, and it's such a crazy thing, especially in a competition for guys that will come and show you these new things that you're competing against them. They don't have to do that shit, but it's just it's a brotherhood, man, and there's so many good people that are willing to help and feed you information.
I said this the other week, even though you're competing against each other, everyone still wants everyone to succeed.
Absolutely, bro.
Absolutely. So they'll always give you good advice. So
yeah, man, for sure.
I think that's great for new people wanting to come into comp to know
it was super
a safety net there.
It was terrifying to come into it, man. Like I was sort of watching the scene and sort of I did the I judged in I think 2017. And I thought these dudes were fucking heroes. I was just like, this is outstanding. They've been up all night cooking and doing this and putting the food in front of me that was just absolutely mind blowing.
Or up all night drinking, probably more like it. Yeah, to be honest.
I think, now you know. There'd been a couple of drinks had, I'm sure. But yeah, and it's just that whole community of the camaraderie. Like I said, if we forget this or you run out of that, or I've looked at a bit of meat and gone, I don't know where I'm at with this. I don't know exactly what I should do. Like, hey, can you have a quick look at this? And Ken come over and he's just like, no, you should be slicing it like this, or just adjust your angle here, and little bits and pieces like that it just go, fuck, mean, it just changes everything.
I think that's really interesting because certainly that's my experience too. In my first competition, I had Jim Tom Jr. come over at 11:30.
Man, yeah.
Came over at 11:30 at Kumi. That was our first comp over a year and a half ago, and he was helping me trim my brisket.
Yeah, man.
11:30 at night, and I was like, have I done too much? Have I done this? He's like, no, look good, all that kind of thing. But I was listening to one of the Pitmasters podcasts today, which is a fabulous podcast if you don't listen to it. And they were talking to the guy from Peg Leg Porker.
Yep.
And he was saying that, actually really interesting, he normally does NBN, which is the Memphis Barbecue Network competitions. He said at those, it's a party, they're cooking whole hogs, whole shoulders, and everybody's like, oh, what do you know, if they get through to the final round, they'll all go, oh, what do you need? Do you need any help? Like, you're in the final, we're not, we'll give you a hand, or we'll do this, how you doing it? But he said then KCBS, very closed. People like, oh, don't look at what I'm doing over here. This is my secret sauce, my secret recipe. Whereas you can walk into any New Zealand barbecue team and you go, what are you doing? Like, what's that?
Just about. We've had a few with that. Like, we've had a couple of people sort of, I feel like they were creeping and seeing what we were doing and stuff like that, especially after getting a couple of decent results at Meat Stock. At Brewtown, we were all sitting really close, and there's a few times I thought, I wonder if they're just sort of seeing what I'm doing here. But I put heaps of stuff in different shakers just to fuck with everyone, just because I think it's funny.
I think, the other thing there, though, is Noel can, I can tell you exactly how I do something.
Sure.
But you won't cook it the same as what I do, and
exactly
I won't do it the same as what you. So I can take little bits, but you can't. It's not like some things where you can literally just make a copy.
No, that's right. And even in that instance, like like I said before, I'll take information from someone, but I'd never try and copy it regardless. I just use that information. Someone saying, oh, layering a base like this of your rubs and putting this down first will do this. You
make
go,
it your own.
Fuck, that's cool, man. So then I'm like, okay, let's start to layer these rubs a little bit differently, or that sort of thing.
So, top tip for a newbie barbecuer. I think we should do 2 sets of tips here. I think you should do newbie home cook, just getting into it because you were there once.
Yeah, man.
And I think you should do comp because you're 3-4 competitions in now. So
3 in.
Top tip number 1: don't do the 10 burning questions with barbecue base.
It's actually really off-putting.
You can't think, can you?
It's scattered in my brain.
Excellent. That's the idea. Brilliant.
Top tips. I think just get into it, man. Like, just give it a crack. I think the best thing, like a mate of mine, Chris, that's getting into it, said to a man, like, he said,
Tolcher.
He goes, what should I do? He got his first little offset, and I said, get a pork butt, get a shoulder. I said, they're really forgiving, you can push it. And I said, you can't fuck a butt, and he thought that was brilliant. So, but you can't fuck a butt. It's hard work to really fuck a pork butt.
I'm gonna have to do some beeping on this one, aren't I? There's gonna be a bit of edit afterwards.
I think we should have a bit of a shout out to Chris Tolcher as well. So, mate, I've actually seen your cooks on the NZBA.
Yeah, he's doing mean, man.
Mate, you're doing really well. Certainly doing better than me when I first started out, So
Absolutely.
definitely stay on that path. You're doing brilliant.
He just soaks information, bro, and he'll research this. He's just actually built his own drum, little ugly drum that he's put together himself over lockdown and stuff, and it's mean, man. It holds temperature really well. I know that he melted a couple of magnets that he had on the side after the temperature started screaming and got away, but that's all been amended, and it's a mean little machine.
Yeah. I think that's great advice, and we kind of get that a lot in terms of people saying, it's super tempting to run out there and buy a $150 brisket for the first thing because you think you're going to be a hero and you're going to nail it. But just get something super forgiving and super easy. Make it easy on yourself.
Keep it simple.
100%.
Yeah, that's right. And you can. The best thing of doing something like that is if you've got a nice long cook. And I think the biggest thing with your barbecue stuff is to try and govern your temperature. If you're getting big fluctuations, you're going to have a drastically different cook. It's going to turn your meat differently. Even putting it in really cold, I think will drag it out more, and little things like that. Or if you move away and have a beer and you watch, you don't put a log in for that 20 minutes, half an hour, and you drop this much, it's going to add 45 minutes to your cook. Especially if you're using a light gauge barbecue. You got something like mine, and it's going to hold temp for ages. It'll sit at bang on 250, but if you're trying to run at 300, it sort of will go up and down between there. But also, like, don't panic. Like, I used to stress out. It was like, fuck, the whole firebox is on. It's flaming up here. And just like, oh, no. And then it was just, shut everything down and pull the meat out. It's like, just
you don't want to do too much.
That's it, man.
You're constantly fiddling. It's never going to work.
I popped over to see Heinrich today, and we were saying the difference in our mood and our general anxiety when we're cooking now is completely different.
Oh, dude, it's so
like,
chill.
As long as I'm in a range of 250 to 290,
Absolutely.
I really don't care what's going on in there.
Absolutely.
He goes, it's all feel, the toothpick tells me everything I need to know. So.
And I often say to people, I know we all want to do it. We want to put the meat probe in there for the whole cook.
Yeah.
just leave it out because it's
Till you
gonna spike
Yeah.
and you're gonna panic and you're gonna do what I did when I first started.
Exactly
and
that,
you're gonna
man.
take it off going, oh my god, it's at 140 after an
That's it.
hour.
For the record, no probes in for the first 4 or 5 hours.
No.
When you've set the
Yeah,
block, you
I'm
wrap
the same,
it,
bro.
then you put
And
the
then
probe,
put the probe
in,
in.
and that's it.
But
'cause
that takes
all the panicky stuff is
It
gone.
takes a
then.
bit of
that's it.
confidence to do that because
For
you
sure.
just think, oh, I've got to watch it.
You
all
got
the
to
time,
want it to be
I've
right,
gotta
and
do it.
especially if you were spending good money on a bit of meat, you don't want to bugger it up, man.
No.
And I was exactly the same. But then you might be sitting in a little bit of a fat pocket or a really tight bit of a muscle, and the temperature 5 millimeters to the side is so different. So having a instant read, I run the Inkbird little instant read, and I love that little thing, man.
Yeah. Really good.
A big thing with that though, just on a side note, check your probes, put them in boiling water, see if they're sitting at 100. If they're not, change it.
Boiling water and ice water.
That's
So
exactly it.
0
You need
and
to see where
100.
it's at,
Yeah.
man. Because
And if you're in Fahrenheit, it's 212.
That's
is the
right.
Fahrenheit.
So just
exactly
quickly,
right.
you started on an offset, did you? You went straight to that Oklahoma Joe Highland?
Yeah. Oh no, I had a Smoky Joe.
Okay.
Yeah. So meat
Weber
stock last
Smoky
year. Meat stock last year. All I had was a little baby Weber Smoky Joe, and I was getting racks of Swift ribs and cutting them in half just to sit them on the side of about 10 coals and just trying to make it work.
Oh.
And then by the time I went to meat stock, I saw someone running in Oklahoma. I thought that's mean, good bit of kit and well priced. So I just jumped in the deep end. I ordered one that was on its way from the States, and I got impatient, so I bought another one. So I started cooking on that, and then the other one showed up, and the missus was like, nah, you don't need 2 of those.
How many pits have you got now?
I'm on 7 at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on 6 and I'm on a 1 in 1 out policy. And today I had to say I wasn't going to get a dry age cabinet because I'd be divorced.
No, I'm on 7, but I spoke to the missus. Well, she's quite happy with it, to be honest. It keeps me happy and sane, and she gets to eat good food, so I can do pretty much whatever I want. But I'm going to max it out at 10.
Actually.
Oh, she loves it. I actually got by with I bought the Acorn Junior, and I took it home and I said it was for our anniversary, and I said, look how little and cute it is, it's for you. And she's like, wow.
Yeah, that's not for me.
She knows it's not for her, but she's like, oh well.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
So what about the comp side? Like, because you guys are pretty new into the competition team.
Yeah, man.
So what's your best advice for those newbie comp guys?
Well, I think you just got to do a little bit more research. Start looking at what you're going to be cooking in those categories. So if you're looking at your lamb and all you've ever cooked is a lamb shoulder, go and get some cutlets, or think about what you're going to do. If you're going to be doing shanks or whatever else it may be, do some testing on them. Stay up late, even try and make a faux dial-in time and say, okay, I'm going to have my brisket ready by 2 p.m. and see if you can hit that mark. I think, and that's something that we completely overlooked. I just went in the deep end. We just winged it, man. But yeah, I think just being onto it with trying to nail a time. You go, okay, so if something's around 5-6 kilos and I'm going to be cooking it on this barbecue using this lump charcoal, it's going to take approximately this time. Or also know what you're going to do to back up. If you're going to pull it at this time and you're going to wrap it, do you have a chili bin to pull it in, or do you have a Cambro? And just sort of just mapping it out in your head. And I write everything down. We've got a full run sheet. A lot of it's in my head, but I had to write it down for Mike and the old man, just so everyone's on the same
Is that
page.
when you decided to start sleeping at comps?
That's when I took a nap. Yeah. Well, at Kumu, there was no sleeping whatsoever, and it was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
We had a great time. We were party central. I don't think anyone didn't come and have a drink with us at some point in time, but I think it
you start boxing up, you feel
that
it,
showed in
don't you?
our food though, bro.
Yeah.
And it was pressure, and it was hot, and there was heaps of friends coming through, and it was like the competition side, but the seriousness had sort of slacked a little bit in the preparation, and then that showed in the scores. So. And obviously,
Never again.
Never again, bro. And adjusted that, dialed it in for meat stock, and got massive results. And super happy with that progression. And
Yeah,
again at Brewtown.
congratulations on that. That was
Yeah,
pretty
cheers,
awesome,
bro.
man.
Cheers.
Well, congratulations as well, because you've survived the 10 burning questions.
Yeah, cheers. Let's do it again.
we haven't. Well, we can do another round, but we haven't had to.
Cheers,
We
bro.
haven't had to
No, my mouth's
call the
not-
paramedics,
Yeah.
so that's a
No blood.
success. No blood. And look, thanks to everybody for hanging around today on the show with us as well. We know this is probably a little bit longer than we normally go, but we think it's worth it, and we hope you feel that way too for staying with us. As ever, give us a review, give us a rating, push us up the charts. There's some great stuff to come from Barbecue Base. We've got some awesome plans. We've got some great guests lined up, so there's lots to come. So give us that rating, hit subscribe, get along to the Facebook page, Barbecue Base on Facebook. Give us a like there so you'll never miss another episode. And we'll just say...
And also Stephen's channel as well, Cook Cartel.
Yeah.
So they've got Facebook, Insta, Creative Alliance also got quite a good Instagram channel as well, and there's lots of stuff on there. So
It's got to
give
try
them
and
a
keep
follow
active,
too.
man. Yeah. cheers for the bloody invite, boys. It's been awesome.
No worries, mate. Good to
Absolutely.
see you.
No,
And
cheers, mate.
we will see you next time on Barbecue Base.